regular meeting of the Rushford Peterson School Board. It is the 17th of June, Monday, and it is 5:31. We are in the forum room. We have a roll call, please.
Chris Grimland.
Here.
Valerie Howe. Here. Grace Iverson. Here. John Linder.
Here.
Jeff Michael.
Here.
Bonnie Princeton. Here. Kathy Wade.
Here.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have next on it's the adoption of the agenda. We have one addition.
The board bills amount.
Okay, we have the board bills amount, and then the G, which would be property and liability, workers' compensation, insurance review. Any other additions or corrections to the consent agenda?
No.
Well, look for a motion to approve the agenda. Mr. Iverson, Mr. Emerson. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, public comments are limited to 5 persons. Anyone wish to testify? Okay, first is Cheryl Bruner. Dr. Bruner, floor is yours.
The floor is mine. You want me to stand or can I just stay sitting?
Is there a microphone?
There is. We can move one of these over. Won't bite.
No, I won't bite. I've been behind a microphone before. Thank you. And I am sort of looking at the door. I signed up Lauren Stream to speak after me, but they're just on their way back from Toma today, so he might be just a little bit delayed. But I will start. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Cheryl Bruner, and I'm president and pastor of Well House Ministry. I'd like to share with you our vision for the repurposing of the old school building into Well House Spa and Wellness Center, which is one of the proposals you will be evaluating later in this meeting. Our ministry and those who are connected with it have a heart to bring holistic healing to wounded and hurting people, particularly those with PTSD, be they veterans, abused and sex-trafficked people, cancer warriors and their families, or others simply battered by the issues of life. Over the years, many of us within the ministry have found lasting healing through the tools we will be implementing to foster a healing and restorative and transformational environment in our community, which is so blessed with natural beauty and a creative, faith-filled people. As we share this vision, so many are drawn to being a part of this project. We are no longer intimidated by the $17.5 to $20 million price tag. Our hope is that service pricing will be affordable, pay-it-forward funds for complimentary services will be abundant, and the guest house nearly always full. Our vision is to convert the 1970 new gym building into a 24 to 26 room guest house with gathering and meeting spaces for guests and class attendees. We plan to utilize the north entrance as the main entrance to this building and reduce the size of the south entrance to a walkway to further expose the exterior of the 1936 old gym building. This 1936 building will house 4 to 6 additional sleeping rooms on the 3rd floor, have the exterior restored to historic accuracy, including restoring the entrance and windows, reusing as much of the original woodwork as possible. The remaining 2 floors will house creative therapy spaces for painting, quilting, woodworking, lapidary, writing, cooking, dance, music, you name it, anything creative, as well as flexible conference space for larger gatherings and dining space for a limited menu, all organic, locally sourced meal service for guests and class attendees. The 1906 school building will be restored on the exterior to historic accuracy, including adding a west dormer and reopening the south entrances to be used as the main entrance to this healing and wellness-focused facility. We hope to reclaim and reuse all of the woodwork, wood doors, punch-tin ceilings, and wood flooring in the new interior design, which may incorporate historic photos of the old buildings into the decor. This building will be bathed in worship with a prayer room in the partially exposed attic from which music will fill the building. The remaining 3 floors will be used to provide naturopathic and aromatherapy services, counseling, massage, sauna, and other creative and therapeutic services, such as connecting guests to local recreational opportunities. In addition, an herbal apothecary and gift shop, as well as administrative offices. Early on in this 4-year process, we made a commitment to always provide office space for veteran service staff, as well as look to add space as requested for liaison staffing for abuse and traffic survivors support, as well as for cancer survivors. We plan to restore the playground area into a boulevard prayer park, which will include gardens, walking paths, and a well-themed water feature. We hope to establish parking around this park similar to what is around City Hall. Our plan is to further evaluate the repurposing of the elementary building. Much of the southwestern portion will need to be removed to expose the exterior of the 2 older buildings to provide parking and perhaps a driveway access. We are open to collaborating with other individuals in the community to use the space as affordable or transitional housing. In all that we undertake in this restoration and repurposing process, our desire is to honor the citizens of this community who sacrificed to build and maintain the property over the years by valuing and caring for it for many years to come. Our hope is that we will create a multi-generational space within the community where creative people will teach others their craft, where churches, youth, and other organizations adopt guest rooms to decorate and pray for the guests, where gifted listeners who love people will volunteer to walk alongside guests during their healing process, especially those in the 30-day intensive program. As a nonprofit, we will honor the city with room taxes, the addition of 30 or more full or part-time positions, and create an opportunity for people to visit and perhaps take root in our spectacular valley. Our goal is to be a place where hurting people can come, be loved, heard, and encouraged in their healing process. From my perspective, there is no greater gift than to connect people to their God-given purpose, to see them and their families healed and restored, to supply living water to all who are thirsty and breathe life in abundance. Finally, Mr. Ayler, I would like to thank you for your integrity and perseverance in seeing this process through to completion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pastor. Mr. Lawrence Stream, is he?
He has not made it yet.
Okay, moving on to the item 6, the consent agenda. We have May 20th, 2019 regular monthly meeting minutes. Donations in the amount of $5,444.39. May 10 payables, wires, and payroll liabilities in the amount of $100,014.45. May payroll in the amount of $290,342.90. June board bills to be presented is $118,186.32, and 1 personnel action calendar is qualified. And then G was added, property and liability, workers' compensation, insurance review. Mr. Baylor, do you have anything to add? You did that?
Just a note of thanks and appreciation for the donation from the Booster Club for the Eagle Bluff, and the donation to the trap team, and then our summer weightlifting program as well. So we're indebted to them for their continued support of various school activities that we have forthcoming, as well as the other individuals, even though their amounts are a little bit smaller. We're extremely appreciative of the school district that receives that kind of support from our community.
On the insurance, what is there, is that just our annual review?
Yes, and does not require board action. It's just a matter of, I'll update you on that so that you're aware of where we're at with that. So that will be included in my reports, so my superintendent's report.
questions or comments on the consent agenda? Not, look for a motion to approve.
Second way.
Second by Wade. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to old business, review proposals for the elementary high school building. We have in our packet what amounts to potentially 3 proposals. Mr.
Yes,
Mayor, you got anything to add? to what we got?
Yes. As the board knows, the city of Rushford has been working with the school district in a collaborative and cooperative manner here to try to come up with a venue, and they put together a packet that indicated to you what we're proposing, and the utilization and their initiative was to, in the redevelopment process, is to clear the site and then work with a future developer here for future housing. And then, as you know, Well House Ministry has been working extremely hard to come up with what they presented here tonight and what I included in your packet to share with you. The third proposal was from the Maplewood Group, and that was for the development of a high-tech center. And you as a board have been extremely patient and understanding with that particular group. They were not able to meet the stipulation today because of some circumstances that were beyond their control. They're asking the board for additional time. So I will put that proposal out in front of you, is that they're asking for an additional week of extension on their abilities to raise those particular funds. So we do have a meeting of our facilities committee that's taking place next Monday. So if the board would so desire to have a special meeting to consider those and to extend that additional time, that is an option that I would propose to you this evening as well. So those are your proposals as presented. You have to entertain any questions.
Have any thoughts on the proposals? I guess I can comment. I'm not impressed with Maplewood Group's request for extension. We've already been down that road, and I don't feel we need to go there. Otherwise, I guess that's up to the board too. It's a lot more money than the other offers, but it's only money if you have it. The Well House Ministry, if you look at their proposal, they had it was a very ambitious project, and that will be an issue, but it does present the issue of preserving the building, at least for the most part, and gives the opportunity to do something useful for the community. Cities would like to take it down and then would replace it with something that would also be useful for the community. I guess that's the dilemma that we're looking at. My understanding is that with the Well House Ministry, if things don't go well, that you would be open to other prospects as well in the future. But what you're asking for is time to put this all together. That seems, to me, seems to be reasonable.
Well, it was said on the last meeting, I didn't want to entertain any more offers from Maplewood Group. And after I read this, when I first came to the meeting today, I had it in my mind to go with the city of Rushford. But, once the building's down, there's nothing you can do about it. So I guess my opinion, or I'm of the opinion we should let the ministry give it a shot, see if they can get that building restored first, because if it doesn't work out and it goes back to the city, then they can do what they will with it. But there's a chance for it to get restored, it might be a good idea to go that route.
So any thoughts?
I'm going to agree with Chris on that. I don't think we should entertain any proposal from Maplewood at all. He's already burned it, so.
I also concur with that, and I too feel that it would be just a wonderful opportunity for our community to service others.
Any other thoughts?
I agree with what's been said, and it really, in some ways, I feel like we're fortunate to have somebody in the district that's interested in preserving the school, and you know, it's a big plan with big numbers, but somebody's willing to do it. I guess I feel like as a representative of the district, and after talking to a lot of people in the district, I feel like I too would want to support Clubhouse Ministries and let them have their shot at their dream.
What is your timeline?
You know, I guess what I'm looking at is, you know, to get 50,000, the rest of the 50,000 by the end of August.
Okay.
Then take a year to get 5 million, which would give us enough to start working on the old, or the new gym, sorry, I don't get the right word, the 1970 building, which would then allow us to start being able to provide services. It also gives us time to get our plans floated with the historic preservation people to see if we can tap into some of the tax advantages for that. You know, it's conceivable if we can tap into the right donors at the right time, that we will have the money raised within 6 months and be able to do it all kind of together, concurrent, and not have to worry about the tax advantages, although those would be nice. So I think overall, my expectation is that it's probably a 2.5 to 3 year project. But after the 1 year mark is when we would decide whether we just say, yeah, this is just not gonna to work, and we look at other avenues for the whole project. Not contemplating that happening. The more we talk to people, are just like, there's such a need, and they're willing to help us find the dollars.
Thank you.
Well, I guess from the school district's perspective, we're certainly not in the business of, I think from my perspective, we'd like to move this building along as quickly as possible and get something going on there, because it's been almost 2 years and I think we need to do something.
Yeah, we got a chance to.
Anything else on the proposals? Like, we should make our motion.
I'll make a motion to accept Clubhouse Ministries.
I'll second that motion.
Wait. Motion by, yeah. Any other discussion on the proposal? All those in favor, I guess I'm sorry, we'll have a roll call vote.
Chris Grenlund,
Yes.
Valerie Howe,
Yes.
Joyce Iverson,
Yes.
John Linder,
Yes.
Jeff Michael,
Yes.
Bonnie Princeton,
Yes.
Kathy Wade.
Yes.
Motion carries. 7-0. Okay, moving on to items of new business.
Congratulations. So,
Thank you.
Lauren ended up with car trouble, so they're stuck somewhere on the way, but if you could have heard him talk about it too, it would have been really beneficial.
I wish you well.
Thank you.
Do you folks have an attorney that you're working with?
No, but if it would help facilitate the process to just use the school's attorney, that would be fine.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to do. Our school's attorney, of course, will be representing the school's interests, so that would be something you want to take into consideration, but hopefully there wouldn't be too many issues. The building, shouldn't be any problems with the transaction, I don't think.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. Yeah, and we've got access to-
Immediate sale, right?
Right.
Okay. 'Cause I know one time there was talk about holding off until August, until you see how it goes, but we were interested in, this is like
Yeah,
the
this is,
sale is now.
Yeah.
this is as soon as we can get the paperwork.
Yeah, we are willing to go ahead and do that as opposed to the little bit more phased into getting the money, if that makes it more amenable.
Okay, good. Well, we'll have, you have Mr. Ayler's contact information, and we'll get this rolling as, immediately.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now moving on to new business. We have the AMA approved revisions to the 18-19 budget. We have some additional information on that.
Tony has presented that to you tonight, so it was a handout that you would have received when you came in the room this evening, so please put that handout.
Just stand here.
So the floor is all yours, Tony.
Okay, so 4-page handout. We are going to start with the 18-19 adopted budget on the top. So not all of you were here last year at this time to approve the adopted budget, so it might be new to you, but this is what was adopted last June. What we're going to start with is, I'm going to skip over the general fund first. We're going to go over the food service, the bottom funds first, and then we'll go back to the general fund. So what we're looking at in the food service fund, we budgeted $327,000 in revenue and about $322,000 in expenditures, and we were thinking we'd have about $5,000 excess in revenue. If you look below, this is what we are asking the board to revise the budget to. Based on the estimates, our revenue is probably going to come in around $335,000, and the expense is a little more than we anticipated at $342,000. Some of the reasons, just maybe a slight increase in food costs. There was some increase in meals sold and some of the state and federal revenue, but there's also some increase in wages and benefits, so we didn't quite break even in the food service. The food service does have a positive fund balance, however, so there is plenty there to absorb a little bit of a loss in the food service.
And as you know, that ebbs and flows, and one of the things that the new school facilitated for us was the opportunity to offer salads every day, along with she implemented a new sandwich line as well, so there were some additional costs that were incurred because of that. But again, it is a service that we were able to provide to our students, so we are blessed with a positive balance in that food service.
And the next fund we look at is the community education fund. We had budgeted about $359,000 in revenue and $427,000 in expenditures, and we knew that there would be about a $68,000 loss in the community ed budget. Now, the board a few years back now, gosh, it's probably going to be 4 years ago, the board did recognize that yes, the reason why a lot of this loss is there is because of the preschool, but the board has recognized the importance of that and does approve spending into the negative for community ed. Last year, we actually transferred some general fund money to community ed to help support the preschool. Preschool will struggle just because there's not enough funds coming, obviously there's not enough funds coming in to pay for the salaries and wages. Our district, our teachers and paras are both under the general union contracts. Not all preschools in the state are, but ours is. So in order to pay, our preschool teachers are paid the same as non-preschool teachers. So that's great for our preschool kids, but it's really tough on their budget. So the general fund was supplemented. Preschool started last year. They actually transferred money in.
In the last 2 years, we've had 3 sections of our preschool program to facilitate the transition here, and working with Mrs. Lawson, we are scaling that back to 2 sections this year. We're able to offer pretty close to the same services that we have the last 2 years. So we'll see an offset in those costs as well.
We're actually offering, if I could just include, we're just changing it to keep it the Monday through Friday, just to tell you the sections of preschool, Monday through Friday, 4 to 5-year-olds, 2 sections of that. A blended section for our older 3.5-year-olds, 4 or 5, so that's a 4-day afternoon option, a 3-day option for parents in the morning, and a 2-day option for the parents in the morning as well. So it'll be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so it's 5 sections of preschool at 2.5 hours. So we're offering quite a bit for our community members, and right now we have 63. So you'll see that in our report. So we're staying pretty level at where we've been over the last few years.
So Tony, and so for the community ed fund, that the negative balance is completely from preschool.
Yeah, if you look down to the revised budget. Now, remember everything Mr. Ayler and Ms. Lawson just said about preschool, because we're still I'm still talking about 18-19, so that's going to be for next year. So the 3 sections that we currently have for 18-19 is the reason for, a lot of the reason for the bigger loss. We are still only in June. Books aren't final. This is just a revised estimated budget. So, these numbers could change. I hope they change. It could, it could be a little less negative. That'd be nice. But yes, about 40-some thousand to the preschool, or a little more than that, on the revised budget. So we will be looking at some things, making sure we have a lot of staff in preschool that work both general, they work some, they supervise some elementary, noon recess type stuff too. We just got to make sure that everything's allocated correctly. So this could go in a better direction. The other fund is the debt service fund. Pretty self-explanatory. We didn't, pretty easy to budget revenue expenses for debt service. We got a big loan payment. We know what that is, and we also know what our revenue coming in is, so we don't have any revisions to that fund as far as the budget goes. And then our Fund 21, it's just a separate line. It's actually part of the general fund, but it's a separate line item I like to put on the budget, just letting you know that these are basically our groups, our extracurricular groups, our drama club, our music. They have separate funds that they want to keep separate. And they raise money, they want to be able to spend the money on their items, as you could say.
Are all funds that are, like when any organization in our school does a fundraiser, are all those funds funneled through you and then dispersed? So like
A lot of
all
them.
sports, everything?
No.
There's some that aren't, but most of them are.
So how are those monies then?
If they are not part of the district, there are a couple separate ones, but we try to designate those. I mean, we don't funnel, we don't have anything to do with their money, and et cetera. Baseball has their own, youth basketball has their own, youth wrestling. Baseball also has one with the district too, so it gets a little confusing. But football, they do have one. They have 2 separate ones too. They do have money with the district, and they do have money on their own too. Which I think is a common, I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's a common thing among the school districts. There are just groups that they want to control their own money, and they can't always spend it they can't spend it on the same things. They can spend it on their out, because we are more, well, there's more rules with public money.
I don't agree with it, I'll just tell you.
I guess I'm struggling with it because doesn't that mean then that those monies could be used for things that would possibly be inappropriate? I'm not saying that whatever, but it just opens up a door that,
Who's policing where it's spent?
The auditors, who audits that?
yeah.
But they don't
They don't have to.
audit those dollars because they're not school affiliated. So,
It's still that taxpayer money. Most money they raise.
Most money they raise, so it's not, there are no tax dollars that go into those, so keep that in mind.
But they are school affiliated, I mean, baseball,
No.
football are school affiliated.
Well, as Tony indicated to you, football has a fundraiser that they do that runs through the school. They also have another venue in which they don't run through the school. Youth
So the one
bas-
they run through the school though then is monitored by the school, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Anything that runs through us is, they have to provide,
As long as it's not taxpayers' money.
as long as it's not taxpayers' money.
If they raise it, they spend that
I've always struggled with it since I came here, but it's the culture and it's not uncommon. As Tony indicated to you, it's a common practice for other organizations, entities that claim that they're not a school function. They're not, it says right on the, whenever we put it out there, this is not considered a school function. So that anyone that participates in that understands that. It's not schools, let me just rephrase that. It is not school sponsored.
So we do have a list somewhere of some outside groups that have money, and there are some positives. They do raise money on their own, they're able to raise it a little differently, and they do make donations to the district for supplies, items.
JO Volleyball would be another organization that is not school sponsored. They use our facilities, they raise their own funds, they have their own checking account, et cetera. None of those dollars flow through the district.
So as long as they're not school affiliated, some of them use school facilities, so they need to be paying.
They rent, they put the,
Like anybody else would,
correct,
hopefully we're monitoring that.
we are.
Yeah, okay. Because otherwise taxpayer dollars are being used.
Mhm.
Okay. For using facilities and,
Yes.
but I have been asked about that by people. over the
I'm
past-
sure, yes, and I'm sure there'll be more questions as you continue to move forward in this venue and other entities figure out, hey, we can just rent the facility and then use it as a means to generate additional dollars for our organizations. Yeah.
So, the general fund then, going to the top of the revised, the adopted budget, we budgeted about $7.5 million in revenue for the general fund and almost $8 million in expenditures. We did know that we were going to have about a $400,000 deficit in our general fund. Almost all due to the projects that the softball fields, etc. We were going to use so that decrease was going to come out of the assigned fund balance that we had left over from the new school building. So we knew that going in, that was going to be the case. So when you look at the general fund revised revenue and expenditures below here, the revenue is over $300,000 more than budgeted, which if you would remember or been around for a little while, you know that I always budget very conservatively as far as enrollment goes. And I did last year a lot. I actually did last year a lot. And because we had a big senior class, and I really didn't budget in any additional students. I just took the students that were here left, and the students, only kept the students that we had. We had a decent increase in enrollment, so that generated over $300,000. So that was nice. That was very nice. Obviously, the expenditures increased as well. And if we want to take a look then at the second page, those expenditures then, I've kind of detailed out by program to kind of just take a look at, okay, yes, your expenditures did increase. Expenditures went up quite a bit as well. And this is why and in what programs they increased. Administration costs went up just a bit, and mostly due to sorry about the misspelling there, MSBA training. We had some new board members, so we had some increased expenses there. We had a little bit of increased expenses due to the superintendent search, and the administration offices had some software expenses that weren't budgeted for, or a little more than were budgeted for. The second line is district support services. This is the business office, election, public relations, and non-instructional technology department. Overall, this went down not much. I mean, it was mostly pretty even. It just ended up, we kind of had a decrease in payroll due to some staff issues in the business office. And then non-payroll wise, we did have expense increases, so it kind of netted out to a decrease. We had the election, the referendum that cost some dollars, and non-instructional technology was up a bit. The regular instruction, we adopted about 3.8 million expenditures, ended up being about 3.9. There was a small increase in overall non-payroll expenses, but it was, again, sorry about the typo, but it was mostly due to payroll benefits being a little more than we budgeted. Vocational ed, this would be your FCS, business tech, and then industrial tech and ag, was pretty stable. And special ed was also pretty close to what we budgeted for expenses. A new line item here in the general ed budget, we budgeted $9,000. Well, actually, we didn't budget $9,000 for preschool curriculum, but we did purchase preschool curriculum out of the general fund for the preschool. So that's that $9,000 here. Instruction support services. This is our library, instructional technology department, staff development. These were about $18,000 more than budget. There's more staff development. Staff were paid a little bit more than budgeted for writing the curriculum, etc. And instructional technology expenses were up a little more than budget. Our pupil support services, the biggie is transportation. And that's pretty much where the increase came from. We added a Winona route that runs about $38,000 a year, I believe, between $38,000 and $40,000 a year. We added a whole route. So that was a lot of that. And we also had a couple more vehicles purchased than we budgeted for, but were needed. And the sites and buildings, you'll see that they're over budget by about $123,000 a year. These expenses came out of the new school assigned and reserved fund balance. But our projects for the softball field and the sidewalks were more than we thought they would be. But with that increase in revenue, we were able to absorb those increases in the cost of those projects. And then the fiscal and other fixed cost, all that is our insurance. Our property and liability insurance is in that fund, or in that line item, in that program. And our insurance actually decreased from what was budgeted. So any questions on those first two are basically any questions on 18-19 revised budget?
Any questions on the revisions? For a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Wade, second by Lincoln. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of approving the revisions as outlined by tonight, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item B of new business, approve the adoption of the 1920 budget.
Okay.
Keep rolling.
All right, so 1920 budget. This is pretty, you look at it comes out pretty even, pretty break even as far as the food service fund. We'll start with the food service fund again. I would say it's budgeting about a $6,500 expenditure over revenue. A decrease in the fund balance, I think, is okay there. Like I said, we have reserved fund balance. The state actually doesn't want you to have a lot of fund balance in your food service, so this is a good thing. We're going to be spending that down just a little bit. We do want to watch it, however, we don't want to go gangbusters and buy a bunch of new stuff, but this is a good thing. Community ed, we're budgeting about a $69,000 loss in, like Mr. Ayler and Boston said, we're gonna drop it back down to 2 preschool classes. So this will help some. We're gonna have to take a look and see what else we can do there to get those expenditures down and get the revenue back up.
The problem with the revenues there is that the state, an example, let me give you an example. We have been receiving Pathway 2 grants, so we've been receiving those for, I would say, 5, 6 years, and they come in at $75,000. Well, the revenues don't increase, so we just received confirmation today, and congratulations, Lisa, that we're getting our Pathway 2 grant was approved, so we have that $75,000 coming in. But as we've alluded to here this evening, teacher costs go up on the salary schedule, so we have an increase there, which we really can't control, but the dilemma that we have is our expenses increase and our income does not. So that's why we continue to struggle with making ends meet on that particular front.
And that $75,000 pathway grant is over 2 years, so it's a $37,500 each year, and it hasn't increased. It's flat. You know, it's kind of hard to. The revenue's flat and then just going up. And they keep trying. The legislature keep trying to get funding for preschool programs, but again, don't go over sure.
So would it be safe to say on your general fund budget that, again, you're projecting less enrollment increase than in years past?
Not too much. I can get back to that when we talk about the general fund.
Sure.
But yeah. We'll do the debt service fund just really quick. Debt service fund's pretty much break even. When we do the property tax levy, they will automatically levy a certain percentage above our debt payments to allow for people that don't pay their taxes. So they can give you a little more money than what your debt payments are. We have good collection rates, so we've been building our fund balance in our debt service fund. And so once you get a fund balance built up, they'll start taking it away. So, and that's okay. We don't need $500,000 in our debt service fund. Let's have enough in there to pay for our debt and be good and not keep levying our taxpayers for more than what we need. So that's why we have about a break even in our debt service fund in 1920. And then Fund 21, maybe we'll bring in about $64,000 in our different fundraising events, and just assume we're going to spend about the same. So back up to the general fund. We're budgeting a little over $8 million in revenue and basically a little over $8 million in expenditures. I again just took the kids that were here, minus the ones who graduated, and adding kindergarten in. So if we have an increase in enrollment come fall, this will look better. I don't foresee a decrease at all. Sometimes I will, put a little decrease in, not make, just in case, but I did not. We don't look. I think enrollment looks to be at least this.
So the board knows is that we've averaged about 47 to 48 students a year the last 2 years. So we've actually increased our student enrollment by 105 students. I would not, I'm just sharing that with you and then also giving you a word of caution that I would anticipate that our enrollment would continue to increase at those numbers. We did, as we have in the past, as you know, we've had a positive working relationship with the Ridgeway School, and in the past we've received anywhere from 6 to 7 students. So this year we're down to about 3 that will be coming this direction from the Ridgeway School. So, but at the same time, just so you know that those that are willing to come here and have filled out the open enrollments, we would hope that we would continue to see some growth, but I would caution you to say that it would continue at the pace that it has for the last 2 years.
Is open enrollment still open?
Yes.
Okay.
School districts use a lot of latitude, and Rushford Peterson does as well, so they're not a lot of stringent guidelines, because the January 15th is generally the day that you have to have those forms filled out, but because school districts have an understanding of that flexibility, that they allow that to continue.
So the second page then is the expenditures by program for 1920. So I took the revised expenditures for 19 to compare them with what the adopted expenditures are going to be for fiscal 20, and then just sort of described why some of the changes are occurring as far as the increases and decreases in the expenses. Nothing really sticks out too much unless you see something you really want me to talk about. The regular instruction is remaining about steady, just a little bit of reduction. We do have overall in regular instruction, this is non-special ed, non-career tech, we have an overall reduction in staff. So that's why there's a little bit of decrease there. There's a reduction in staff, but then everybody's salaries and benefits are going up as well, so it's not as big of a change than it could be. Vocational ed, there's an increase there. We increased the FTE of industrial tech, and we also are purchasing, our business ed program is still fairly new, second year, and so they get new class this year, so we needed some textbooks for a new class. Our special ed expenses will be up in fiscal 20, mostly due to, we have a 0.7 increase in our FTE. We hired a 0.7 middle school teacher that we did not have before, and also just generally the salary and benefit increases for paras and special ed teachers. And also I budgeted in a little bit of contracted special education expense. So last year we had $9,000 in school readiness expenses that for curriculum, we're not going to have that this year. Instructional support, that's your staff development and library. Mostly just staff development expenditures will probably increase a little bit. Pupil support services, that's transportation. I have it going down just because we budgeted we had 3 new vehicles last year. We're only budgeting for 1 vehicle this year. And then our sites and buildings, we had the huge projects last year, the softball fields and all the sidewalk, new sidewalk and sidewalk enhancements. So we don't have those this year. So those expenses are going down. We do have a few projects in the hopper for next year, hopefully, which are escaping me.
When we did the athletic complex down here, we held off on the current practice field that we have needs to be reshaped and irrigated, so that's a project that we have hanging out there, so that would take place this fall. We're estimating cost to be between $65,000 and $70,000, and so that is budgeted for. We also have to replace the school-owned trailer. The one we currently have is been repaired, but is not considered road-worthy, so we need to replace that trailer.
The track resurfacing.
And the track resurfacing. As you know, 7 years ago, they did the actual track itself, and now they need to come in. Now they need to come in and do the area around the track area, not the actual track surface, but the areas around the track, and that amounts to about $38,000. And so we do have those dollars budgeted for, and we're able to use and offset those costs through our dollars that we have available to us, and that is in our capital projects.
We have money in operating capital, and hopefully we could use some long-term facility maintenance dollars for, hoping we can use that for the football field. It's an existing field we need to fix before it deteriorates even more, so hopefully we can use our.
The nice thing about having the old facilities for the last 2 years, we were continuing to generate dollars in our long-term facilities maintenance funds because we were still in possession of those 2 buildings. So that's been advantageous. just so you know, that those projects that we're estimating somewhere between $140,000 to $150,000, all of those dollars can be committed to through long-term facility maintenance or the capital expenditure plans.
And then the last line there is just insurance costs on property and liability insurance, and there's just a slight increase there. Our workers' comp insurance is distributed amongst all our programs as a payroll benefit, so there's also an increase in our workers' comp insurance that's spread out over our whole general fund. So any questions on the 1920 budget?
Tony, the projected fund balance, then you have about 1.6,
Yes, to end 1819, yes.
and that'll decrease a little bit under the projection.
Yeah, so that will decrease just a little bit with the 1920.
What is our ratio? Is that, that ratio that we have to maintain in the fund balance?
We're still, and sorry, I can't give you the exact percentage. We're still doing okay. I know the auditor will probably suggest us to try not to run a deficit or even try to run a little bit of a positive to start building that up to get to be about 12. They wanted to see it about 12%.
12 to 15%.
And I think our strategic plan, I think we're above what, we were above what it was.
We were above until this year.
Yeah, so we have to start building it up.
Okay, so we're still within the guidelines.
They don't want you to drop anywhere below 8%, so we're above that percent.
Any questions on the budget, 1920 budget? Any comments? Not, we look for a motion to approve the 1920 budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I will second it.
Any further comments? Those in favor of the approving the adopting the 1920 budget as presented, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, item C of new business, approve the 1819 QComp annual report.
Mr. Tim oversees the QComp program. He's included that in your packet for tonight. This is an annual thing that we must present to the board, so it talks to you about the implementation of the QComp program and then the impact it had for each of the teachers and the evaluation process, and then the job embedded professional development activities that we had, and then provides recommendations after each one of those, as well as just the overall general impact of the QComp program. Mr. Tim works really hard to make sure that we are dotting our i's and crossing our t's with our QComp program. It does facilitate us to be able to generate some additional dollars that go back to our teachers as a result of some of the services and some of the professional activities that were embedded in to this program, and of course a lot of that centers around the evaluation process. So, be happy to entertain any questions or concerns you might have. I know that's a lot to go over and look through, but I guess I would ask that you approve it because of the fact that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that the program is conducted with the highest level of integrity possible.
Any questions on the QComp report? Not, we look for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, wait.
Wait, second.
Oh.
Second, any further discussion? All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item D, approve the hiring of Smith Schaefer to complete the audit of the 18-19 fiscal school year.
Page 14 of your packet here, and again, Smith Schaefer has, was the firm that you had for the last 2 years. This will be the third, yeah. So we've had them for 2 years, and this will be the third year, and their fee has not changed. It's a $15,000 annual fee to do it, and we are very pleased with what they provide us as a district, and Tony and Laura can attest as well that they're easy to work with, and they come in and do their thing, and a lot of that goes to Laura and Tony's credit because of their preparation for knowing that the auditors are here. So we recommend that we continue working with